Hey guys, Brian, Colorado Camperman here. So in today's video, I'm going to give you guys 9 pros of owning land. So for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome to our land here. We purchased 35 acres here in the mountains of southern Colorado about 3 months ago for $33,000. And primarily we've camped on the land and just have spent the last 3 months kind of making it our own and whatnot. But I'll put a link to a video that we did as to the 10 reasons why we bought this property. And then I'll put a playlist too of all the land videos that I've made total. So check that out. So today's video is sponsored by Prime Land Exchange. So they are a family-owned business out of Texas. And these guys are pretty awesome because they sell property all throughout the country. And what's great about them is they basically act as both the seller and they can also act as the bank for the properties that they have listed. So you can buy their properties for cash or you can actually finance through them. So there's no need to go to a bank and get a loan or anything like that. You can literally do everything through them, which is awesome. Logan is one of the owners of Prime Land Exchange, and I've talked with him and I really feel that their values align with mine, and that's why I'm willing to have them as a sponsor. But they're having a sweet land giveaway, so you guys got to check that out. I'll put a link in the description, but the giveaway is going to be for land in Colorado here, so you got to check that out in the description. You need to go to that link, and then you also need to follow them on Instagram to be eligible. All right, now let's get into the 9 pros of purchasing land. So the first pro is that it provides you with an area that you can call your own. Now this is pretty self-explanatory, but one thing that is so awesome is the fact that when we want to go camping, we can come here. We don't have to worry about reservations. We don't have to worry if we're going to have noisy neighbors. None of that stuff. We can just come here and we don't have to stress or worry about any of that stuff. And it is such a cool feeling. It's hard for me to describe. It's like when you bought your first car. You may have borrowed your parents' car before that and whatnot, but that feeling that you had when you bought your own car, that it was your very own and just yours, that's the same feeling when you buy land. So the second pro is that it provides you with a bug out area. Now, if you were to watch this video a year ago, you'd probably think that I'm some crazy prepper or something like that. With all the events that have happened in the last 6 months, I really feel like this is actually one very important reason to buy land. Let's say you were to live in a city, like we've seen, you know, the virus has been spreading like crazy. There's been people rioting, all this stuff. If you owned your own land, you could go to it, and some people can work remotely. A lot of people are these days, and you could work from your property, and you could bug out of the city, get away from people until things settle down. And again, you know, a year ago, I probably would have sounded slightly crazy, but with everything that's happened and all the uncertainty right now, this is definitely a huge benefit to owning your own land. So the third pro is that land is extremely easy to buy. So this is actually our second property that we've purchased. We own another piece of property up near Salida. It's a much smaller lot. It's actually just an area where we think we may eventually move down the road, and we want to solidify something up there. When we bought that piece of property, closing was like 5, maybe 10 minutes long. Closing on this property, even easier. We did everything online since it was during all this craziness. We did everything online, and it was so easy. Much easier than when you buy a house. When you buy a house, or even if you were to buy land with like a cabin or something like that, you got to worry about home inspections and all this other stuff. When you buy just raw land, it's an extremely easy process. So the fourth pro is that there's lots of options that you can do with your land. Now, I made a video on 10 future plans for our property. I'll put a link to that video right now. But one of the things that we're doing and we're working on right now is making campsites. So this is one campsite that we made, and we trimmed up some limbs, and we're going to get it leveled out a little bit more, put some wood chips in here, and make it super nice. But when you buy land, you have lots of options of what you're able to do with it. So the fifth pro is that your property can provide you with a lot of natural resources. Here on our property, we have a lifetime's worth of firewood. We have a lot of downed and dead trees like this one behind me, and pinyon pines are actually pretty sought after, which is pretty much all we have on our property here, and a lot of people like it. If we wanted to, we could probably go around our property and cut up firewood and sell it. But there's other things that you could do with your property as well. You could use it as farming or agriculture. You could have livestock. One of our neighbors actually leases our property, and we allow them to have their cattle graze on our property. So that's an option. Let's say you had a pond or a creek or river flowing through your property. You could fish, or that will also probably draw in a lot of game. So you could hunt on your property and provide, food for your family and whatnot. The other thing that you can do, and I've seen a lot of guys on YouTube, they'll live in an area where they have tall pines and whatnot, and they'll build their own cabin out of all the wood on their land, which is so sweet. I wish we could do that here, but our pinions only grow so tall, and they don't exactly grow nice and tall and straight like a ponderosa or Doug fir pine would. So the sixth pro is that land can be very low maintenance. So for instance, with our property, if we just wanted to leave it as is, we could, and it would not be a big deal at all. We could still camp here and it would be just fine. A lot of the stuff that we're looking to do is more of a want rather than a need. Now obviously there are higher maintenance properties out there, so if you are looking for land, that's something to consider. If you don't want to be doing a lot of work, try to find something that's a little more low maintenance. The other thing too, if you do purchase land with like a cabin or a small building or something like that, take it and consider that into consideration, because more than likely there's going to be more maintenance associated with that. So the eighth reason is that land appreciates. So even if you were to buy land and maybe only camped on it a couple times and you had intentions of building a cabin or something and that never happened, more than likely you're not going to lose money on your investment. I'm going to give you guys an example here. So 4 years ago, we had been looking at property up in the mountains, and the area that we was looking at, property was selling between $1,500 and $2,000 per acre. When we were looking at this property, we decided to look in that area again, which is a different location than here. But now that area property is selling for $5,000 to $6,000 an acre, and that was just 4 years ago. It jumped up that much. It's insane. So again, you're probably not going to be losing money on your investment, which is definitely a huge benefit. So the ninth pro of owning land is that it is something that can be passed down for future generations. So one thing that I think is really cool is, like, we purchased this land here, and who knows, it could still be in our family 100 years from now. I mean, there's lots of these huge ranches here all throughout the U.S. where families own thousands and thousands of acres, and that's because, their great-great-great-grandpa was a pioneer, and it's just stayed in the family. And that is so cool. I think that's awesome that, families own these huge ranches and all that stuff. And, great-great-great-grandpa bought it 100+ years ago, and it's still in the family, and the family is still using it and enjoying it. And as they say, it's so cliche to say, but they're not making any more land. Land is a finite resource, so you got to get some while you still can. All right, guys, well, that wraps it up for this video. So are there any other pros or benefits that you guys can think of for owning land? Like I said, I'll put a link here to a playlist for some other videos I did specifically about the land. But I really thank you guys for stopping by. If you guys enjoyed this video, throw a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.